much. You can about
Of interest to the group
yeah.
to look at the contents of this letter, because I think it raises questions about what we should be doing in our community to avoid this kind of situation developing, because it's clearly unsatisfactory, it's unacceptable.
So just to, I'm not sure whether everyone's had a chance to read through it, but it was a letter that was sent to the Crediton Courier by a local resident whose husband was in hospital in Tiverton, and obviously it was tricky for her to get to Tiverton regularly to see him. So it sets out some of the issues, including the fact that there aren't any beds in Crediton, the lack of direct bus routes, and one of the things that we alluded to a bit earlier about difficulties in getting care in not just in Crediton, but in some other parts of Devon. Mary, do you want to say a bit more about it, or shall I throw
Well, really, I just think
floor?
it highlights the key problems that we face, which is that we're not providing an adequate service for people who need full-time care. Full stop, really. We're not doing it.
Actually, I know the person concerned, and I've noticed a deterioration in her own health since she's had to try and cope with this awful situation. And she says, why won't they accept me as a carer?
Presumably because she's not strong enough.
And you can understand reading it, can't you? How it would affect a family member, because it's
But there
clearly
wasn't
stressful.
domiciliary care available adequate to support her in looking after her husband.
See, when you consider the care that I had, and I was capable of a certain amount of care myself, I can't quite understand why it's not still available here.
Shall I comment at this point, Alex? Yes, I think, obviously I manage the social care team here, as well as the therapists and the nurses. Most people who are looking for a care package get one. We have a small list each week of people who's we've not been able to find care for, but the vast majority of people do have a care package. There's, I think I'm right in saying, something like 4,000 care packages a week going on across Devon. It's increasing every week. New care is being found for people. This area in Crediton in particular is a bit of a hotspot in terms of not always being able to find care packages exactly the day we want them. Devon County Council, who's responsible for delivery of this, is putting a huge amount of effort into trying to grow the service. Under the Care Act, they have a direct responsibility to do this, and they are very proactively looking at that. There's a new framework to work with the agencies that provide the dom care sector services that will be coming out in the next couple of months, and the prices will be increasing that are being paid to the agencies. So it is hoped, and they're doing everything they can to try and increase the quantity of care that's available. In terms of the double-handed issue, I don't have the details of the case in great detail, but the agencies do have to protect their own carers.
Obviously.
And it's their decision, not ours, as the purchasers of the care, whether it's double-handed care or not. We have a double-handed specialist team of OTs who will go in and look and see if they can enable a carer to help somebody, and to see whether they can get it down from 2 carers to 1 carer, so that it makes the viability and availability better. But also we have to make sure it's safe. I don't know the individual situation. So there is a lot of work going on around to ensure that we deliver the care wherever possible. It does sound a very sad situation without any details, obviously. I can't comment on it.
Jane, can I just say, are we confident that when the new framework comes in, that it will make a difference? Because probably everyone around the table is aware that, particularly out here and particularly outside of Crediton, there's an issue with travel time and how people get
carers
paid.
will now be paid travel time under the new contract, which should make a difference. The problem is, it is private sector business, and at the end of the day, we can't make people do work. It is a real problem. It's a nationwide problem. It's not just a Devon problem. It's the same as the shortage of nursing. It's a nationwide problem.
So are you saying there's nothing we can do to stop this happening again next week?
I can't guarantee it won't happen again next week, Mary, no. But most of the time, people's care packages are sourced and found, and I get a lot of compliments saying how good the care has been, how helpful it's been. Occasionally, we have a situation.
Will you be getting back to this person via the courier?
I haven't had a complaint come into me personally.
But just
so
as it's out there in the public domain now, and you probably, I don't know, have some...
Yes, I can certainly.
I was just thinking, I don't know, John, obviously we have to protect this person's identity, but do you think that person would welcome a voluntary response?
I think we need to be a bit careful because of patient confidentiality and stuff.
Absolutely, as I said.
And I'm not sure, Jane, it'd be appropriate.
Perhaps a public letter to the courier then.
I think again,
I think
yeah.
we
can't
need to
get
be careful.
into that in terms of Devon County Council, but if the person themselves wanted to put in a formal complaint, we would take that on, and I would deal with them personally. But I don't want to do it in public.
It's a shame there's this dissonance, isn't there, between, you know, we have to sort of hedge around, but you can't sort of do it.
It's actually about confidentiality.
I absolutely understand that.
And that is paramount. So,
Yeah.
I can't.
The thing is, but we end up in this sort of quite absurd situation. We know there's a problem, we can't respond to it or have recommended something else. Yeah.
Approach them if they want to.
If the individual
discuss
themselves
it.
wants to
I'd be very happy to talk to them.
wants to contact Jane, we can do that. But actually, myself, Jane, Maggie, if we did something and that patient's confidentiality was broken, we'd be struck off.
I absolutely understand, but in general terms, this is.
I know what you're saying.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying.
I know exactly what you're saying.
I know what you're saying as well.
Yeah.
I don't think we should stoke that situation. It's a terribly adverse PR situation that we have. It's been going on for years and years and years, against which we're suddenly bobbing up and saying, oh, look at this brave new world that we as a group are trying to engineer. And to trying to get backing for that against this sort of background is extremely difficult. This is not unusual, we all know it isn't. You reach a certain age and either at the bowling club, the dancing club, your own family, my mother-in-law, all sorts of people, parents living in rural Herefordshire, we've all come across this. And part of it is precipitated, not by the system. Once you're in the system, you're okay. It creeps up on you and then it happens suddenly, out of the blue. And people don't know where to turn. And it's this question, we were talking about it earlier, about care navigation. Now, if you don't know about care navigation, you know nothing about it, how do you find out? It is extremely, extremely difficult. We talked about one point of reference. I think if we can develop that and get some things on notice boards in GP surgeries, so people who don't know about it have a chance of reading, so that when it happens, they can do something.
Can we move on because it's getting late?
Yeah. But I think that is the way forward. Is developing this single point of contact that we were talking about earlier on. If we can move along that front, then I think we can get people into situations where they get a care package.
And Richard and Charlotte have got an action to talk about taking that forward, so we'll let them do that outside the meeting. Okay, communication subgroup. I know Kerry's not here.
Kerry would like to raise two things. One is around the Mid-Devon Community Representative vacancy, which, James, did you want to say anything about that?
I didn't, but basically the PPGs have got the right to send someone forward as part of the representatives for the patient participation group. As you're well aware, there are 90 practices within the Mid-Devon, and each of the practices sends a representative to that group. As part of the new structure, the new strengthening engagement, this is going to be a more dynamic role, and perhaps a more demanding role than has previously been found. And it's going to involve a greater involvement, which is one of the reasons why I'm here, to find out what's going on within our area, to ensure there is patient engagement at all levels. So there will be two representatives from the Mid-Devon, and anyone who has an interest is invited to apply. There is one vacancy. I'm the sole person. I'm lonely. I need someone to hold my hand. So we want representatives, people who are going to articulate, represent, you know, the views of the community rather than just their own parochial issues. So if you're interested, There is an advert on the CCG website. I think the closing date is very soon.
4th of March.
4th of March.
Yes, Friday.
That's when the interviews are. Please.
But the interviews are
She doesn't say about
I think the interviews are in a couple of weeks. But, and James, I think you raised a very valid point. It does yourself, and there'll be one other person, and it's about representing the views of the whole of Mid Devon.
You're actually in Hampton, aren't you?
I am. That's my practice. Yes.
Okay, so if anyone's interested in that, then details are on the website. I've got one other bit of any other business. Has anyone else got anything they want to raise? Okay, my other bit of any other business, and Frank, you alluded to it right at the beginning, is the size of the group here. And to be quite honest, I don't know what the right size of the group is, but we seem to be expanding. And I suppose it's really important to have key stakeholders around here, and you're all important. I don't think I'd really want it getting any bigger than this, and I suppose the question, but I'm up for hearing other views, and then also I suppose we could think about whether we do have too many people here, and whether anyone feels that we need to rationalise a little bit. So again, those are my thoughts. I'll throw it open to the floor for comment.
I think this is when the terms of reference are quite useful, because basically it depends what the objective of the meeting is. If it's to sort of to brainstorm and come up with ideas, then we're way too big in the way that the meeting's currently are set up. If it's about sort of viewing reports and making comments on that, then that's probably a different kettle of fish. So I mean, as interest has grown, then probably a little bit more care, as it were, or kind of thought going into how you sort of drive the whole project forwards and what this group's about is really quite important. Clearly, it's an important issue, otherwise not everybody would have turned up. So, first of all, you've got people's attention. Now it's a question of actually how to move the project forward in the best way. That's where we kind of everybody ignored the terms of reference up till now, but it's probably not a bad idea to dust them off.
Thank you, Richard.
I was going to say exactly that. I think coming in very new to it, I think you've got to set up a governance arrangement that might say, look, projects often report back to this group. I don't personally get a feeling of we have a timeline of where we're trying to get to. We've got clear deadlines, clear responsibilities. I think it seems to me a couple of people are taking on a massive amount of responsibility. We've got lots of skills around the table. Whether we need to chunk this project down into the individual items and use people's skills, because it'd be very, very interesting. I mean, this letter is interesting. I mean, amazingly interesting, but I don't get a feel of how we're going to act on that in terms of improving the services.
Well, I mean, what that letter does is it kind of neatly identifies the problem we face.
Yeah.
It's a human story, and okay, so it may be more exceptional, but actually in the round, that's the problem we have to solve.
Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Richard. Any other views? Michael?
I think we need all the inputs that we've been getting. I've only been to 3 meetings myself, but several different people around the table, stakeholders, and it is a stakeholder steering group. There's a point at which the work of a steering group will come to an end. We've got all the pieces of the jigsaw that we need, and they'll end up in some form or another on an update of this. And at that point, I think, you need a team that's going to be in an executive role in carrying out that programme of work to turn that paper into reality. And that's where you probably need a more technical project team working with the end users to develop the project plan and to take it forward into the end case is the building and all the chaps working on it. So I think there is a point where you will reach that stage, but the project team may be well working away and from time to time report to the stakeholders.
We're kind of in a slight hiatus at the moment, aren't we? Because we're kind of in between, in the transition between 2 providers, and it's not completely clear about the ownership of the building. So I found it really interesting today, actually, today's meeting. I found it really useful. Thanks everyone for your input. But I think when we get an answer from CSEC, and then hopefully we'll get a positive answer, and so it might be that the next meeting that we've had a positive answer, we want to concentrate a bit more on some